I have friends that have had babies. I have a sister that's had 2 babies before me. Nobody told me anything. The nurses didn't tell me anything. My family didn't tell me anything. My mom had 3 babies. She didn't tell me anything. It's like, why is this some big secret?
What's up, guys? Nate and Sutton back with another video, and today, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about things that nobody tells you about having a baby.
Ooh, so I don't know how much involved I'm going to be in this one. I'll just be here for support. This
You
is
were
your
there.
show. I was there.
What's funny is I have friends that have had babies. I have a sister that's had 2 babies before me. Nobody told me anything. The nurses didn't tell me anything. My family didn't tell me anything. My mom had 3 babies. She didn't tell me anything. It's like, why is this some big secret?
Well, just a disclaimer. Obviously, everyone's childbirthing experience is probably going to be a lot different, right?
Yeah.
Just because this is what you experience doesn't mean this is what you're going to experience. But there are some things that I feel like that we went through, you went through, that you should be aware about because it might happen to you.
Yeah, that's something people told me actually a lot before I had him, was that don't let other people's stories like scare you or whatever, because everybody's different. So whatever I tell you, it happened to me, don't let it scare you because it may not happen to you. First thing was my water breaking. So I knew that, I don't know if this video is going to make me sound like so naive, like people are going to watch this and be like, I can't believe you didn't know this stuff. Or if this is really things people don't know, but these are just things that I personally didn't know. Okay, so water breaking. I did not know how much water there was going to be. It was a lot. We were in Mellow Mushroom and I was sitting in my chair, but right when I stood up, it was just like, it felt like someone popped a water balloon underneath me.
Yeah, so we were in the restaurant. For those of you that know our story, we were eating pizza and she's having contractions eating her pizza. And then her water breaks right there in the middle of the restaurant. And so we're walking out and there's like a trail, like a puddle following her.
Yeah, so that's something I didn't expect. I didn't know how much water there was going to be. And then speaking of contractions, I was calling the doctor before my water broke, telling them what I was experiencing. They were telling me those are contractions. And I was like, oh, well, this is nothing. Like, this isn't even bad. I heard it was going to hurt. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, even before your water broke, she went into the hospital and they were like, have her hooked up to all these things hooked up to her. And they were like, yeah, you're having contractions. They're spaced out too far. We need them a little bit closer together before you're in like actual labor. So we're under the impression like, okay, these are contractions. But no.
No.
A whole nother level was about to come upon her.
They made us walk the halls just to like help get things going. So me and him are just like messing around. Like I think we were speed walk racing around the hallways, like just making it a game. And we were like passing this girl who was really having a hard time.
And she's like on the wall. She's like, oh.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, thank God I don't feel like that.
I'm like, wow, son. You better be grateful you're not there. But little did she know she would be that girl.
I would be surpassing her significantly. Yeah, so that was the pain that I was going to experience was definitely not something I was prepared for. I mean, I heard it was going to hurt, but I feel like I have a pretty good pain tolerance, but...
Let's just say she was hurting so bad that I started crying. That's pretty bad. Seriously,
yeah,
that's true.
It is true, that was sad. So we went back in the hospital after my water broke, and then something else I didn't know that they would do was my water broke, and they're still trying to check my dilation, like to see how far along I am. I'm like, really? Doesn't this mean, like, this is the sure sign that, like, we're ready to go now? In all this pain, I'm laying on this table, and she just, I don't know what she shoved up me, maybe her whole fist, I don't know, but that just made even more water come out, and I had to go in the bathroom and like change into this gown, and there was like blood. I didn't know that was gonna happen. I had on white shoes. I'm looking down at my shoes and there's just like blood everywhere, and I was like, oh gosh, because I didn't know all this was gonna happen. And then it took forever to get an epidural. That's something else I didn't know.
I thought once you have contractions and your water breaks, like the baby's coming out, like you need to get to the hospital or else that baby's about to come out on your hardwood floor. But but no, I mean, from the time your water broke to the time he was actually here was like forever, and they were in no rush. We're just standing in the waiting room, and her water's just everywhere.
And I'm just bawling my eyes out in front of all these people in the waiting room.
And we're like, hello, like my wife is having a baby. Is that not worthy of getting back in the rooms, please?
Yeah, and so it took forever to get an epidural, which was misery. And they make you sign all these papers and are asking you like about insurance and stuff in this time of what feels like panic. Mm-hmm. Because I'm just so ready to get the epidural because I feel like I'm gonna like pass out from how much pain I'm experiencing. But they're just asking about our insurance and sign these papers and all this dumb stuff that I didn't know. Like, why did we not handle that stuff before? I don't know. Mm. Speaking of things going, how he said there was no rush, I think that was under our circumstances. I believe that I was ready to go getting in that room, but the midwife that was there got the flu and she left. So there was like one doctor tending to other people. And the doctor, while she could have been with me, was with another girl who was also having a baby, so we had to wait. Like, it was like the other girl was there first, so we were just waiting. But we waited for maybe like 2 hours, and then she just comes in and like flicks the lights on and is like, all right, let's go. And then like within 5 minutes, he was here.
And well, speaking of doctors, throughout her entire pregnancy, we were seeing specific midwives that we were expecting to deliver Oakland. But
we loved.
Yeah, we loved the midwives, but the problem is the night that she went into labor, both of them just happened to be on vacation. So 2 of our midwives were out, and then the backup midwife was so sick she was like puking her guts out. So we went through 3 midwives that we weren't able to have. So then we have a doctor that comes deliver her.
And I don't know. I heard this after the fact, and I don't know if this is like factual or just my experience, but I've heard that midwives take a lot more care with you as far as sewing you back up and everything, which for me was true, that the doctor did not take care with it because I only had a 1st degree tear, which I didn't know there's degrees of tears. I didn't know that. So you can tear, 1st degree is like the smallest that it can be, so it should be pretty easy to sew up. But she sewed me up wrong, and I had to recover for 6 weeks and then go back and have the surgery again and then recover for 6 weeks. So if you can get a midwife, I suggest you get a midwife.
Yeah, and so another thing throughout this whole time that surprised me was Sutton passing out. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, yeah. And I think it was because you're losing so much fluids and blood. That it's so important to stay hydrated, which we didn't really. No one was giving her water or Gatorade or anything to drink. So by the time after she delivered Oakland, she stood up and passed out, scared the crap out of me.
I thought that having a baby, like, I would push and be having contractions and stuff for like a very long time, but it was not long at all. Like, I'm pretty sure I pushed 3 times and he was here, which is pretty unheard of for your first kid, I think. But that just shows how ready my body was, and we were just waiting on the doctor to come in. So I think that's a sign that it was like time hours ago. We did not have a good experience, in case you can't tell. Praying this time around is different. Another thing that I wasn't expecting was that epidurals don't take away all the pain. They may for some people, but for me, it didn't. I think it was just like, I was in so much pain that I was just glad for any relief. I didn't care if it just took it down like 2 notches, just anything to be helpful to me. But it did help a lot, but it was like one whole side I could still feel it. So that was something I wasn't expecting. I kind of thought once you get epidural, it's like you literally can't feel anything, but you can. I felt pain still, but it was just heaven compared to what I was feeling before. And you also feel pressure, which I think is telling you like it's time to push, but no one was there to help us, so I didn't. This is his favorite one. Something else we didn't expect. I guess I kind of expected it because my sister's had babies before and she complained about this. But I guess when you're not living it, you don't truly understand how bad it is. But another thing is that you get no rest. Like, here we are, have been up all night because we had him at like 2 a.m. And then, of course, there's all these other things like a bath and the temperature and taking care of him and like sucking out the fluid and you're holding him and your family comes to see him. Like all these things are happening and people are just constantly coming in and you literally don't get to sleep.
Yeah, it was absurd how often someone would come in that room. I mean, it was like a joke.
You'd think they would time it like, let's all go in there and do our little thing and one goes so that they can rest, but no. They just take turns.
And this might not be every hospital, but we get delivered at Northeast Georgia Medical Center. Shout out to you guys. But that's how it was for us, and it was so fun. You guys are great.
This is something that actually someone did tell me before we went into the hospital, which I thought was great. So I'm going to tell you guys just in case you don't know. But they told me to take everything from your room because you're paying for it. So like it's yours. The diapers, the pads they're going to give you, all the mesh underwear, all the circumcision supplies that we needed, like what is that stuff?
Yeah, gauze.
Vaseline, and just everything. And you can even ask for more, like if you get a nice nurse. We asked our nice nurse, like, can we get some more of this stuff? And she brought it to us and we brought all of it home.
Did you say diapers?
Yeah, diapers and wipes
yeah,
and
all the
everything.
diapers in there because, man, that baby is going to the bathroom. I think we changed. We were counting it. I think it was 13 diapers a day.
I even got a little visual. This is mesh underwear that I still have. This is what they give you. Don't you miss these babies? They're like so stretchy. And I thought that you would wear these only in the hospital, but no, you wear them for like weeks afterwards because anything else is just so uncomfortable and so tight on you.
What?
You look like scared.
I'm just listening.
That leads me to the next thing I didn't know. This is probably the biggest thing that I didn't know is how long you would bleed after having a baby. I thought you go in, you have the baby, blood comes out, of course, when you're having them. Maybe the next day you're still bleeding, and then it's over. But no. I bled for, I think, 5 weeks, and I was texting my sister, like, am I dying? Like, how can I lose blood for 5 weeks? And I'm not talking, like, spotting. I'm talking, like, full-blown period, pretty much, for 5 straight weeks of wearing pads, because you can't wear tampons, obviously. So that was really fun. I didn't even know it was physically possible to bleed that long and like not die.
One other thing that was a big surprise to me is like I thought once mom, I thought once a lady or once you deliver that your stomach just goes like I thought it was like back to normal.
Feel bad for me, ladies. That these are
I mean,
the
not back to
expectations.
normal. I know there'd probably be some loose skin or something, but I didn't realize you still look pregnant.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, you do. You still look pregnant.
I mean, it might have gone down a little bit, but you still look like majority pregnant. I mean, I thought the baby's in there, the baby's out. Like that, the baby's what's making you look pregnant. But that was kind of interesting. It took a while for her stomach to go back to normal.
He kind of knew that with my sister, though, because he said that. But later he's like, well, she still looks pregnant. And I'm like, that's normal. But then his brother came in the room after we had Oakland, and he's like, he said it to me. He was like, so why do you still look pregnant? Oh my goodness. That's guys funny. I don't want to make this sound like it's so horrible. It's obviously the most beautiful thing and the best thing ever, but there's just all these other things that come with it that no one tells you. And I just feel like if I would have known these things ahead of time, I would have felt better, like more at peace with what was going on. Yeah,
I mean, obviously the end result, we're here, we're healthy, Oakland's healthy. That's the best thing
what else
ever.
Could you want?
It's a beautiful ending, but the experience, I mean, for me was hard, and for you was 100 times harder.
This is more of after having a baby, is that you lose a lot of hair, which is what this is. In case you guys ever catch this little flyaway here, it drives me crazy. Like, it will not stay down. Even if I hairspray it, it won't stay down. But that's like all new hair, and all back here, like pretty much my whole surrounding my edges is like new hair, and it's about this long. So that's really cute. The last thing that I didn't expect, which once again, could only be me. I don't know. But I didn't know that stopping breastfeeding would be a hard thing, a hard thing to do. I thought it was kind of like you decide you're done and you're done and you just stop. But not for me, because I told you guys I had mastitis a lot, so I had to be really careful about getting clogs and, emptying. And the day that I decided to stop, I couldn't stop for like a month later. So it took me a whole month to actually stop because I had to go so slow. And it was with the pump, so I was feeding him normally, and then I started pumping, and I would have to pump less and less, just by like half an ounce, like barely anything, and just keep going less and less and less until eventually I was done. But it was a long process.
Yeah, that was just one of the most surprising things to me, is how she was literally like a slave to her breasts. I mean, it's like if she wasn't with Oakland to feed him, and we had to give him a bottle or something when we were at a wedding, it was like she had to pump on the dot of when he would normally feed, or else she was in for it.
Which was really hard at weddings, because I'm not creating this timeline, and I would have to like sneak away for 15 minutes to go to the car and do this. It was so aggravating.
She would get mastitis, which basically means like her boobs would start to hurt really bad, and she would actually get flu-like symptoms. That's what it is.
Yeah, it pretty much is like having the flu. You feel achy and just so tired. You have a really high fever. You get chills. You get really hot. It's really miserable. And then all at the same time, your boobs are just like hurting so bad.
Yeah.
And I did all the tricks. I did everything you could think of to like try to prevent these clogs. And the only thing that I used that worked, which sounds absolutely horrible, was a needle. Like, you would get a needle.
It was like a daily routine. She would poke herself with a needle.
Yep, to get the clog out, because it was like clogging on the outside, so it wasn't like internal clogs. It was the outside was getting clogged, and the only way to get it out was with a needle.
And the lactation consultant told you to do that, right?
She said to do it as a last resort, but it was my last. I did everything, and it just didn't work. And so I have to use that needle, and then you pump on...
Sticking needles in your nipples.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound so fun.
And then you have to pump on all fours after that to get the milk. It just sounds so bad. But man, the drive in you as a mom to like give your kid the best... I know that breast milk is like the best thing that your kid could have, obviously, because that's how God intended it to be. So obviously that drive is like so strong, because otherwise, if I would have got that mastitis once, I would have just quit.
Poor wifey.
But somehow, I think God like makes you forget these things. I had to write them down and like really think about what all happened to us, because He wants you to have more kids. But you just forget. You forget what it's like, and now you look at your other kid, and it's just so great. And so it's just a short amount of time that's really, really hard, and then it's just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having another one.
And we're going in for round 2. So please send some prayers our way, because we want it to be better than last time.
Yeah. Do you feel bad for me?
A little bit. Let's just say I'm happy to be a guy.
I would be too. Happy to be a guy, but he did say one time that he wishes he could be pregnant for just like a day and see what it feels like.
Yeah, just one day. I just want to know, what
he wants
it's
to
like.
feel him moving around.
I'll never be able to get to experience that.
And boobs. This is Nate and Sutton sowing seeds of truth, love, and inspiration, one view at a time.
And that was the things they don't tell you about childbirth.